Hi, viewers. This is your favorite host, Simply Ike. I'm welcoming you to another edition of the Arsenal Alchemy. Um, this is our second post of a very, very good journey we're about to start, and the good thing is we have some bumper packages for you in the world of sports and football this week. Um, So now I'm gonna give a rundown of what has happened in the world of football this week, and also there is a topic for us to debate on, for us to banter on, for us to talk about. The topic is there a bias or a refereeing agenda against Arsenal? I know this topic has been spoken about a lot of times, but from what we've been seeing the last couple of weeks, the last few weeks, the red cards, the big calls going against us, I think it's something we should address, and I think it's worth addressing because we have so much complaints, we have so much against the referees, against the refereeing. It's not just Arsenal, really. It's probably all the big teams. Every team has been affected somehow, somewhat, But that is something we're gonna do. We're gonna touch on much later. So the first thing about this last week, the first big news about last week is the Ballon d'Or competition, the Ballon d'Or award, which was held on Monday, and we have a winner, and the winner happened to be a midfielder, a defensive midfielder, which rarely happens, and it's no other but Rodri of Manchester City. Now, this year's Ballon d'Or has caused a lot of rifts. It's caused a lot of controversy, if you might put it that way, because the general belief of everyone was it was going to be Vinicius Jr. to win it, but he didn't win it, and there are so many reasons people give for him not winning it. So, but I think I'm okay with Rodri winning it. Personally, I think I'm okay with him winning it. He's been a colossal figure for Manchester City. If you look at his record, if he doesn't play, Manchester City kind of struggles. I don't think he's lost any game that he played for Manchester City the last 1 or 2 years now. Oh, apart from the FA Cup, I think he lost the FA Cup, but he has been, to me personally, he has been a great player. He has been a wonderful player. And don't forget, he replicated his form for Spain in the last Euro Cup competition, which of course Spain won. They won England in the final, and the guy was magnificent. He's a master of his craft. I'm just going to put it that way. This thing about a striker has to win it, or an attacking midfielder or a winger has to win it. Football is played. Football is played with 11 men on the pitch. And every single person on the pitch has their importance, have their functions. And yes, goals win you games, but the defense wins your titles, So I'm fine with Rodri winning it. I'm very satisfied with Rodri winning it, and I don't know what all the grudge is about, and it just didn't end at Rodri winning it. Real Madrid boycotted the event when they heard Vinicius Jr. wasn't going to win it. So they boycotted the event, and the Real Madrid team, refused to actually show up at the event, which I felt was very unsportsmanlike of them. I remember back in the day when there was this year, I think it was 2012 or 2013. So that year, Frank Ribery of Bayern Munich won 5 titles in a year. He won the Bundesliga, he won the UEFA Champions League, he won the German Cup, he won the Super Cup, and he won the Club World Cup. That year, Cristiano Ronaldo won just the league. Yes, he scored more goals, but he won just the league. That year, Cristiano Ronaldo won it. The Bayern contingency then boycott the ceremony. They came and they were very sportsmanlike. They came and they honored the event. What Real Madrid have done is so shameful, in my opinion. What they've done is so shameful. They boycotting the event because Vinicius Jr. didn't win it. That was very that was to me, that was very disappointing. That was very disappointing of them. And I can even go way back, further back than that. In 2004, Thierry Henry of Arsenal was the highest goal scorer in the whole of Europe. And he led his team to the championship in England. Arsenal won the league and they went the whole season unbeaten. This is a feat that hasn't been replicated in England till today. That year, they didn't give it. They gave the award to Ronaldinho. While Ronaldinho is a good player, he's an excellent player, but that year, even Ronaldinho knew he didn't deserve it. Of course, he will take it, but he knew he didn't deserve it. Thierry Henry was runner-up to Ronaldinho. And and so like I've said earlier, I don't buy into the narrative that Real Madrid felt they should win it because Vinicius Jr. won the league and the Champions League, which is fine, which is a good fit. But you can also argue Rodri won the league and he won the European Cup competition. So that's what happened. Now, the second big news in football is the sacking of Erik ten Hag. Erik ten Hag of Manchester United. So he was sacked. On Monday, and there's been a lot of punditry, commentary. People talking about it. Personally, I felt it's a sacking that should have come much, much earlier. In fact, I don't think Erik ten Hag should have started the season with Manchester United. And we heard they were shopping for a new manager after they won the FA Cup. I don't know what happened. I don't know why they made a U-turn and decided to stick with him. So by sticking with him, Manchester United has been, a disaster this season. They've been so bad. I think they're 14th on the table. For some of us that have followed Manchester United for close to 20, 25 years now or more, we know the dominant force that is Manchester United. We know how they used to be. At a point, Manchester United was the biggest club in the world. They were the biggest club in the world, and rightly so. They were winning trophies left, right, and center. Major trophies. The league, Champions League, FA Cup. They were winning everything. Of course, under the guidance of Sir Alex Ferguson, whom they have whom they have really, really missed. He's been, he was the, at a point I felt he was the greatest coach ever. Well, now Pep Guardiola is in the mix, so we have to think twice about that. But right now, looking at Manchester United, I know they used to be the rivals for Arsenal back in the day. It was a rivalry that was unmatched in England. Everybody can agree that in the 90s, the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, the rivalry was between Manchester United and Arsenal. When they played, the whole world watched. I mean, the Manchester United and Arsenal games were like the El Clasicos of today. That is the Real Madrid and the Barcelona games. They were just like that. So I'm kind of disappointed looking at Manchester United, what they've been subjected to, how low they've been subjected to, how low they are in the Premier League. I mean, this is a team that other teams fear them. Before they even get to the pitch, you could see the fear in other teams. They used to be like scared, and at that point you knew Manchester United had won the game already. They used to be the comeback kings. If they're losing to you 2-0 the 90th minute, it's not over. Manchester United always clawed back. They always had a way of clawing back and winning games. So it's kind of disappointing seeing Manchester United in 14th alongside Crystal Palace. No offense to these other teams, but Manchester United is way, way ahead of those teams. So the news we're hearing is there's a coach Manchester United wants to hire. He is the coach of Sporting Lisbon in Portugal. His name is Ruben Amorim. I don't really watch the Portuguese league so much, but I've heard so much about him even before the Manchester United rumor. I've heard so much about him. I heard he's a good tactician. He demands a lot from the players. He drills them, and so I don't know if he's going to work in the Premier League. The Premier League, like we all know, is very intense. You have to keep your focus. You have to get your tactics right. So I don't know if a new manager can actually turn around Manchester United's fortunes. And I think that's part of what has been really derailing Manchester United. They've been bringing these managers that we'd never heard of. They brought Erik ten Hag from Ajax. I had never heard of him. I knew Ajax played very good that season. They played the Champions League semi-final. They got to the semi-final of the Champions League. Yes, it was Ten Hag. He was the coach. But I didn't really know him. And, bringing him to the fray in the Premier League, I think it was kind of unfair on Erik ten Hag's path, So I understand why he didn't do too well. But I put a lot of blame on him for some matches, for some games he lost. Some of us that actually read football, we actually saw some of the flaws even before they started the games. And I'm not trying to condemn the team, but when you're playing Casemiro, I feel Casemiro, his legs are gone. The guy can't run. His first season was okay. He was good in the first season. But, like I said, the Premier League requires a lot. It demands a lot from players. You have to be 101 fit. You can't just come to the Premier League and think, oh, you were in Real Madrid, you won all these titles. The Premier League, the players don't respect nobody. They don't respect nobody. In fact, the more elevated you are as a star, the more psyched up they are to give you those tackles to, to make life hell for you. So yes, it's been really poor for Manchester United, and I can only wish the new coach well. If he makes it, I heard it's not black and white yet. It's not been put to black and white yet. But if he makes it, well, good luck to them. So that's really the news, the big news in the footballing world this last few days, and of course the Carabao Cup was played this week. Our beloved Arsenal, we played Preston and we won that game 0-3. And of course, the highlight for me was the inclusion and the performance of Ethan Nwaneri. He scored a goal and he was imperial in that midfield role, in that number 8 role. He was imperial. He scored a brilliant goal. It was it was about 35 meters. It was about a 35 meter strike. The goalkeeper had no chance. And of course, Gabriel Jesus, he scored the first goal. It was a brilliant goal. It was from a corner. It was a brilliant goal. And yeah, Gabriel Jesus has been, may I say, a very peripheral figure in the Arsenal team this season. His last goal was in January. Yes, his last goal was in January. If someone needed a goal, it was Gabriel Jesus. So he scored a goal today, and we are hoping that will boost his confidence going forward. I don't know if Jesus will be an Arsenal player next season. I really don't think so. He's one of the highest earners in the team. And, his career at Arsenal has been blighted by injuries a lot. He gets injured a lot. And sometimes, even when he's fit to play, he just flatters to deceive. Let's be factual. I haven't been impressed with him. But I'm hoping this goal he scored today will be a turnaround. I'm hoping it's going to be the beginning of, a renewed form for Gabriel Jesus. Then the third goal was from Kai Havertz, who came in as a substitute. Kai Havertz has 7 goals in all competitions this season. The guy has been... I know there's a mixed opinion about Kai Havertz. Excuse me. He came on from Chelsea, and he was much maligned in Chelsea. They called him lazy. They called him all sorts. So when we bidded £65 million for him, the whole Chelsea players, in fact, everybody. In fact, I'm not going to lie, I was one of the people that expressed a lot of doubts, because I wasn't quite sure, and I didn't think he was what we needed at that time. Then I thought we needed an out-and-out striker, and we weren't sure what his best position was. So last season he came around and he did very, very well. He had a goal return in the Premier League. He had 14 goals last season in the Premier League. That is very decent. Don't forget he didn't start all games. And don't forget some of the games he came in as a sub. Some of the games he didn't finish. Some of the games he was, so in the beginning when he came in, he was dealing with some kind of confidence, I think our pattern of play was a bit too fast for him. So he kind of struggled. But he proved himself. He went on to prove himself. He started scoring goal after goals. I think he had about 23 goals contribution last season, which is very, very decent. But I'm also of the opinion that we still need an out and out striker. Like I said in the last post, we need an out and out striker. We need a striker that buries chances, that buries half chances. We need a striker that invokes fear to the opponents. When they see him, they're fearful, they're panicky. We need someone like that. Gabriel Jesus in his first season was developing into that kind of player, but later he got this nasty knee injury, and it had to be operated on. And he came back and he wasn't quite the same. The kind of goals he scores now are tap-ins, easier goals. Even that he misses sometimes. That's how bad Gabriel Jesus is. So I still think we need to still go to the market in January to procure an out-and-out striker, And so back to the game. The game against Preston was like a walk it was like a stroll in the park. It was like a warm-up, exercise, and I'm happy there was no injury. There was a little scare with Martinelli. There was a tackle that was made on him, and the medics had to come and attend to him. So then I was scared because we really, really need Martinelli, especially going forward for the game against Newcastle this weekend. That is a cracker. I know they haven't had the best of seasons, Newcastle, but hey, they just won Chelsea today. They won Chelsea 2-0. So they are not... Whenever you play Newcastle in St. James Park, it's a different team. Manchester City went there this season and they played a draw. They forced Newcastle to a draw. So it's not a place to go and you're less ready. We have to be 100% ready. The boys have to be 100% fit. We have to fight for every ball. That is how Newcastle plays in St. James Park. They fight for everything. And Anthony Gordon is going to be fit for that game. He hasn't played in a while. He's going to be fit for that game. And they're going to be up for it. And I'm hoping we are going to be up for it too. Because we can't drop any points now. We can't afford to drop any points. Manchester City is ahead. They lead us by about 5 points. That is not good. I still have the hope that we could go ahead. We could go on and win the league. But we have to start now to play better, to commit better. In front of goals, we shouldn't be wasteful. In front of goal, we should take our chances. We shouldn't, and most especially, we shouldn't finish the game with 10 men, which is kind of our albatross now. We play games. All the games we've lost or dropped points. We finished those games with 10 men. So I believe if we play with our regular 11 men for 90 minutes, I think we can get a win in St. James Park. As hard as it sounds, I think we can get it. Look, this is the Premier League. No single game is easy. No single game is easy. Every single game you have to fight. You have to fight. Then it's not so good for us that we don't have a very large squad. Our squad depth is very, very vulnerable. We don't have the largest squad. We don't have squads like Liverpool, Chelsea. Chelsea is another team coming up. They have, in fact, for the past 3 seasons, Chelsea has spent £1.4 billion. Last season was very disappointing, and ultimately they sacked Mauricio Pochettino, and they hired Maresca, Enzo Maresca from Leicester City, and he has been a revelation for them. I hate to say this, but I admire how they play. They've been playing so well. Cole Palmer is their star man. He's been incredible this season. He has about 6 or 7 goals in the league already. When I say he's been incredible, he has been incredible. You know, his GA in almost every game is about 4.0. Can you imagine that? So they are not a team we should overlook. They are not a team we should take lightly. In fact, after playing Newcastle, guess who our next game is? Chelsea. We play Newcastle away on Saturday. Our next game is in the Champions League. We play Inter Milan away at the San Siro. That is going to be a bloodbath. That is not going to be easy. Then after that, we play Chelsea away again. We have 3 very, very tough away games, but they're all winnable away games. If we adopt the right mentality, if we adopt the right tactics from the coach, if we are defensively sound, if we play to our strength, we can win those games. We can win those games. But like I always said, we have to take every game, one game at a time. And the next game is, don't forget today's game against Preston was away too. We have about straight 4 or 5 away games. Yes. I don't know how these fixtures were done, but we have straight 4, 5 away games. 2 in the Premier League, 2 in the Champions League, 1 in the Carabao Cup. So, another thing I want to ask guys is, what do you think about we going all out to win the Carabao Cup? Do you think it's worth it? I mean, last season, Liverpool won it last season. Manchester United won the FA Cup. Excuse me. Manchester City won the league. We only came runners-up. We were eliminated in the Champions League by Bayern Munich in the quarterfinal last season. And that could be, you could say we were eliminated because of lack of experience. Even though that wasn't a great Bayern side, they still had enough to win us, And some of the fans, some of the people have been saying, oh, Manchester United, Liverpool had better seasons than us because we didn't win any trophy. We didn't win any trophy. So do you think we should go all out for the Carabao Cup and probably the FA Cup? Why we try to see how far we can go in the Champions League and the league? You can put your opinions in the chat room. Chats are open. Tell me. I will interact with you. I I'm happy to interact with everybody. Whatever you have to ask, whatever we can talk about this, we can banter about this, we can just influence each other's footballing knowledge. Personally, I think we shouldn't take any competition for granted. I don't think we should take any competition for granted. I think we should go all out to win it. I remembered the Chelsea of old under Mourinho. No competition was too small. No competition was too small. Mourinho played his starting 11 for every game. Mourinho was a businessman. If you're earning 150, 200,000 per week, you got to be ready to work for it. He played every single game the way he would play the big games, the way he would play the Champions League, the way he would play the league against the top opponents. His approach was always intense. He demanded 100% from his players. I know right now, Mourinho has kind of faded a little bit. He's kind of dropped off a little bit. But we cannot forget what he did with Porto, what he did with Chelsea, what he did with Inter Milan. Don't forget he won the Champions League with Inter Milan. What he did with Real Madrid. What he did with Real Madrid at a point when it was Barcelona's golden age. That team was almost impossible to win. When they had the likes of Xavi, Iniesta, a young Lionel Messi, Eto'o, Ronaldinho. Yes, he won the league from those guys. And that was a very impressive feat, And, we shouldn't forget, even with Porto, he first won the Europa League and he won the Champions League with Porto. Porto they haven't yet achieved that feat since 2004 when they won it. That was 20 years ago. They haven't even come close, So that is a kind of attitude, that's a kind of mentality I want our coach to adopt with the players. They've got to give it everything. This is a make or break season. This is a make or break season. This is a season where Arsenal have no excuse. We have to win something. The least we can win this season is at least the FA Cup. I mean, if we win the Carabao Cup, the EFL, that's fine, but it's not our target. It's not among our targets trophies. But if we win it, it's fine. But the least we can win this season is the FA Cup. Arsenal is the most successful team in the FA Cup, in the history of the FA Cup. Manchester United is second, they come close. We are the most successful team in the FA Cup. Our former manager, Arsene Wenger, is the most successful coach in the FA Cup. I think he won about 6 of it, Yes, so I feel that is the barest minimum for the season, Of course, our sights are on the league, but we started very badly. Not so badly if you take into consideration the teams we played so far. We've played Manchester City away. We've played Liverpool, though at home. We've played Tottenham away. We've played Aston Villa away. We've played Brighton. These are not very easy games to play, and the only one, and we've done really good. We didn't lose against the big boys, and in fact, we played 10 men against Manchester City, and I can tell you, if we had 11 men, we would have won that game. you know. But hey, it's what it is, you know. Going forward, I expect us to have learned from. Um, I expect us to have learned from um, the past games, you know, the games in the past few weeks, you know, where I can say we've been unlucky, kind of, because we are not a dirty team. We don't play dirty, So I'm not gonna say we purposely went about kicking our opponents, and some two of those red cards were kicking the ball away, which was really, in my opinion, they were stupid. They were very, very harsh on us, Now, and with that, it brings me to another thing I want to ask the guys. Are we being targeted? Is there an agenda against us? Is there an agenda against Arsenal Football Club? I can give you so many examples. I can give you so many examples of the past games where we have been cheated by the officiating, where we have been hard done by the referees. But we don't see these things for other teams. We don't see some of these decisions going against other teams. Last week, I was so gutted when Saliba got a red card. But it was a red card. I saw it and I knew it was a red card, Now, my problem is you have raised the standard. You have said, okay, this is a standard of officiating in England. The next day, Chelsea played Liverpool. The same thing happened. Diego Jota was true on goal. Tosin of Chelsea fouled him as a last man. He got a yellow card. People have been saying, oh, there was a man closer. No. A last man is a last man. If Jota had, if he wasn't fouled, he would have been one-on-one with the keeper. He would have been one-on-one with the keeper. People gave all sorts of narratives about it. No, the man was coming closer. Oh, the ball was going to the touchline, to the throwing area, was going to the towards the sideline. Now and then this weekend, the Spurs game against Crystal Palace, we saw the exact same thing. Now, this was even more of a red card because this was even closer, much closer to the keeper. Van de Ven, the defender of Tottenham, fouled Mateta of Crystal Palace. Mateta is a deadly finisher. He scored the lone goal that won that game, but he was gonna be through on goal. Inexplicably, they gave him a yellow card. This was even worse than Saliba's red card. While I agree the Saliba's red card is a red card, but you can't scapegoat Arsenal. It has to be, look, your standard has to cover every single game. The referee gave a yellow card to Saliba. The VAR called him to check it out. He checked it and he gave a red. Why didn't the VAR call the referee and tell him, no, you got to come check this too? Why is there a different standard? Why is there a different form of refereeing for Arsenal and it's different for the rest? We saw last season at the Emirates, Manchester City against Arsenal. Kovacic fouled Martin Odegaard. In fact, the foul on Martin Odegaard, I have seen it so many times, given a red for. He gave him, he made that tackle on him. It was an ankle snapper. That was a dangerous tackle. So he got a yellow card. Okay, that's fine. All right, that's okay. It wasn't up to 2 minutes later. The same Kovacic replicated that same tackle on Declan Rice. The referee just gave a free kick. He didn't give anything. Now, apparently, he is the same referee, Michael Oliver, that's his name. He is the same referee that gave the red card to Trossard against Manchester City for the minutest of offenses. When he was asked after the game, he said, he didn't want to spoil the game. He didn't want the game to be 10 against 11. That was his response. I'm not making this up. There's only so much you can take if the refereeing is always against you. So, fellas, you gotta tell me if this agenda is real, if there's an agenda. I can, look, I can tell you so many. What about the game against Newcastle last season? A ball went out of play. They didn't check it. Or they checked it and said, they didn't have the technology to check a ball that crossed. I was seeing a ball cross the line with my 2 eyes. And they were like, no, don't look at it from that angle. Okay. The cross was made. Joe Linton pushes Gabriel Magalhaes. It was a blatant foul. Then there was the issue of an offside in that game. There were about 4 offenses leading up to that goal. They gave the goal anyway. I bet you if it was Arsenal, that goal wouldn't be given. We saw the goal we scored against Liverpool at the dying minutes of that game. The Gabriel Jesus goal. The referee saw that we were going to score. And he blew his whistle. Why didn't you just wait? Then you can analyze it afterward. He said Jakob Kivior was adjudged to have fouled one of the Liverpool defenders. And so he just blew before we scored the goal. He didn't even allow the goal to stand. Then you can analyze it on VAR. So these are the issues I have. I know other teams have, suffered from bad officiating. But the Arsenal's own are just so blatant. We saw our game against Brentford last season. Leading up to the Ivan Toney goal, the Brentford player was an offside goal before he made the cross. Guess what the referee said? He said he forgot to check the Brentford player. He forgot to check if he was offside. And so we dropped 2 points for that game. If we had won that game, we would have increased the points on Manchester City in that game. They apologized and said, the referee made a mistake. The next thing, they relegated him to referee in one of the championship games. And that's the end of the story. not caring that, look, this has cost us the points and ultimately the league last season. You know? So, guys, before we round up, I will like us to go back to the topic we spoke about. Let me know what you feel. This is not just an Arsenal podcast. It's for everybody. It's an all-inclusive podcast for everybody. If you have something to say, the only thing I'll say is there's no swearing, there's no insult here, there's no, anger issues. Let's just be gentlemen and banter like, grown-ups, okay? So that's the only thing I can say. Then quickly, I'm going to talk about our injury roundup, which has been quite good. Martin Odegaard, the coach, Mikel Arteta, said he has started to train on grass, which is an excellent news for us. We haven't been the same without Martin Odegaard. So that is a very welcome news. He has started training on grass. So they're giving him about a couple of weeks. He's probably going to come back after the next international break. So we fingers crossed he comes back then. Comes back fully refreshed, fully fit, and he will do what he does for us. Gabriel Magalhaes, the game against Liverpool, he got us all worried. He got all Arsenal fans worried because our strong point this season has been our defense, and he has been one of the stalwarts in our defense. He has been a rock, and so he hobbled off in the Liverpool game for a suspected knee injury. So now we're hearing it was just a knock. The injury is not serious. And most likely he will be available for the Newcastle game. That will be a very, very fantastic news for us. Then Ricardo Calafiori, whom sustained an injury during our Champions League game against Shakhtar Donetsk. It was a knee injury as well. He is not so lucky. He's not going to come back anytime soon. The gaffer said he's going to be here. He's going to make it. He's going to make his comeback in a couple of weeks. So I'm looking at probably after the international break as well. Then during Timber, he played today, so he is fine. So he wasn't even injured against Liverpool. He was extremely fatigued. He was tired. So that's why he was subbed off. And and of course the long-term guys, Tierney, Tomiyasu, their injuries are still very indefinite. So there's nothing on those particular guys. But the major guys, the major boost is Martin Odegaard and Gabriel Magalhaes. So yes, sir. So you guys, please participate. We are open for subscription. We are open to people subscribing, and this is still the beginning part of our podcasts. We hope to improve on everything. But one thing we promise is we're going to bring you a lot of content. We're going to keep you up to date on the happenings in the football world, So till next week, do tune in, and we're gonna be here on Friday. So we're gonna expect you guys to tune in and listen to this. We're gonna preview all the games for the weekend, and it promises to be another bumper package. And I would even go further to make some predictions. If you're a betting person, you can follow us and get some tips on the predictions we're going to make on Friday. Um, and yeah, and hopefully it helps you win some money. So, with that, I will have to pull the curtain for this one, and it's been another exciting day on the Arsenal Alchemy. I'm still your host, Simply Ike. You call me Ike, Simply Ike. All are acceptable to me. All right, till next time. Take care, guys.